Hey class, want to cover three things with you. One, here on my desktop, you can see this summer I'm going to be teaching a field course. Other than having taught for a semester at sea, which was a field course around the world, right, in 100 days, I've never taught a field course in Wyoming, and I'm really looking forward to this. What does Wyoming offer us if not space in which to move and think and learn? Um, so this summer, July 18th to the 27th, will be a field course. I'll be leading it out of Cody. We've got a nice campground with a couple of simple cabins for people to hang out in and or tenting. Um, and the field course will include some special days. There's a Japanese American internment camp, and they're having some special events, and I'm co-instructing this class with a woman who's a kind of architecture and landscape specialist, and so she'll be leading students through like what the internment camp meant on the landscape, and what, excuse the ding, maybe I better turn down the volume on this puppy. Um, what, oh, it's going to go again because I know how these things work. Here, so we go down, lower. Okay. She's a landscape architect person. We'll be talking about what the internment camp meant on the landscape. It was Wyoming's fourth largest city in its day, 10,000 people between 1942 and 1945. But also, as the barracks were removed from the internment camp once it closed and became garages, houses, sheds across the landscape. That's a really interesting story. My work with Crow tribal elders, Upsalika elders, um, culminates in a 3-day event on Crow cultural heritage in the region. So it's going to be a neat class, and if any of you are thinking field courses, I hope you'll consider signing up for that. So now let me get rid of this. Bing! Next, the next two things I want to cover is feedback on your papers, and then I want to think with you about how our methodology in this class it actually helps open up Du Bois's Souls of Black Folk in very interesting ways that I think you will find is helpful every time you are struggling with one of his kind of overly poetic, metaphoric paragraphs, and you're thinking, as William put it, get to the point. I think I can weave together some of how our methodology makes sense of this biblical narrative of pilgrimage that Du Bois weaves through his essays. So let's start with feedback on your papers. All right, I've started returning them. When I return them, I will send you an email as soon as it's graded. Everything I write to you will be short and sweet because I've got a ton of these to grade, and so I'm not sending you, I was so pleased to read your paper. I really was. I feel like it is an honor when I am reading you guys' hard work and I see you at work making sense of this material. When I can see where you are at in the process of being a writer, that's very exciting. And let me tell you, it's as exciting to see somebody who's early in that process as it is later. Now, granted, the later writers are getting bigger rewards for their skills, but this is very exciting because the potential for your development as a person capable of creative expression is literally what I'm seeing. Your capacity to effectively communicate matters in every element of your life, business, family, whatever. So I love seeing where are you at in that writing process, and let's work on it. Nevertheless, I send you an email, paper graded. That's pretty much what it's going to say. And I've gone through the rubric, and I expand in the rubric where I see important points that I can point out to you, and I respond in blue type so that it should be pretty easy to see where I've added some special notes to you. And I hope you understand that when I return that graded rubric, that is me opening a door. That doesn't mean I am done or that I have the final say on the quality of this paper. What that means is I am opening the door. Let's talk about it. If I could, I'd have a one-on-one with every one of you. So since that's not what we're doing in an online class, please, when you get it, understand that that's me opening a door to a conversation. Let me know that you'd like more feedback. Let me know that you don't understand my feedback. And then let's schedule some time for a good phone call. And I return it to you in the Dropbox. Do not write back to me, though, in the Dropbox. Once I've given it to you, we are done with the Dropbox. Otherwise, I'd have to go back through all 35 of you to see if anybody wrote back to me in the Dropboxes. You see, that's not going to work, and I'm not going to do that. So, when I give the paper back to you in the Dropbox, we're done with the Dropbox. Send me an email to my address. Otherwise, you could have written back to me in that Dropbox, and I won't know, maybe ever. So, do you and me a favor. When you want to get in touch with me, send me that email. And don't try to talk back in the Dropbox. All right. I hope that was clear. Please ask for further clarification if it wasn't. Now, I think every bit of the Souls of Black Folk sings when you think about Charles Long's methodological argument regarding religion as an orientation to the ultimate significance of one's place in the world. I'm going to check my timing here. Where did that come in? I got to go back to my clock. There we go. All right, I got 7.5 minutes for this. Du Bois works through the whole text with the narrative. You will often hear many biblical allusions, but particularly allusions to a biblical narrative of a pilgrimage, a journey through the valley of the shadow of death, a journey out of Egypt, through the Red Sea, leadership by prophetic voices, striving and struggling, looking for that mountaintop, for an encounter with the divine. And all of this narrative then about a human moving across the land, if you read that narrative in terms of a human trying to determine its meaning, the ultimate significance of his or her place in the world, then these questions of the toiling travel and of the meaning of this travel become religious questions, because working on them, it's not that you get an answer to them, but working on them is how you triangulate your place in the world. One of the things Charles Long has said, as an African American who grew up in the Jim Crow Arkansas, was that he was always very aware of his place. And he lived in a community that very consistently let him know his place. How was he going to get to watch a movie? Which door was he to move through? Which water fountain could he drink from? And Charles Long actually walked W.E.B. Du Bois through Little Rock, Arkansas. That's a story I'll tell at another time. But think what that meant for these two brilliant men who were moving through a city that was telling them where they could and could not enter, where they could and could not drink water, right? So the idea that you were being put in your place all the time was central to Long's experience, central to why he develops a theory of religion that takes into account that human moving across the land. Now, let's start with page 5. I'm going to give you a little quote here. Herein lie buried many things, which, if read with patience, may show the strange meaning of being black here in the dawning of the 20th century. Right? Do you see the picture of that black body maybe against this globe? And the dawning of a day is happening, right? And so we have time and we have place. It's the dawn of the 20th century. And herein lie buried many things. So an idea that we have to dig into this earth in order to unearth and understand what portent, what meaning our place on this earth carries. This meaning is not without interest to you, gentle reader, for the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. So by his second sentence, he has set up not only that one black body on the land, but that black body in conversation with the capital G, capital R, gentle reader. What all those readers knew at the time was that if you were a reader, he was referring to the white audience. And so he has already articulated two bodies on the land divided by a color line. Not bad for 2 sentences. I have sought here to sketch in vague, uncertain outline the spiritual world. So here we go. He's drawing you a map. The spiritual world in which 10,000 Americans live and strive. Okay, is this metaphor starting to work about why location? He's going to draw you out the map. He's going to begin each of his chapters with a bar from a sorrow song. So as he maps out this world, you are going to enter each chapter by stepping over this staff. Now think about how courageous that is on his part. He's a philosopher, economist with an eye towards sociology, and the other philosopher, economists, and really sociology hasn't even begun as a field, are not starting their essays with a bar of a song. So in order to enter his essay, you actually have to, like, for some people that might be like trying to walk over a hurdle. Like, what's this doing here? And I don't recognize these terms or these words. And what's the value of a sorrow song? This is just that kind of old black folk stuff, right? And think here again about Long. What does Long say? That it is in folklore, music, styles of rhythms, that is where the quality of the religious life exists. And for Du Bois, you got to step right over that staff just to begin reading. For those who are familiar with that music, his readers who are familiar with it, they will hear a voice, they will hear a rhythm, they will enter through the sorrow song into the essay that follows. Now, I'm running out of time. I'm going to have to stop there, and we'll go a little bit further in another little video. All right, thanks for listening.